Start winning at the races with Daily Racing Form's new mobile pass performances, featuring exclusive buyer speed figures and expert analysis and selections. Go to DRF.com/best and get the power of DRF in the palm of your hand. Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, the DRF race of the day for Sunday, July the 12th, race number 9 at Keeneland. Let's throw up the field for the Grade 2 Elkhorn. We are going 1.5 miles on the turf, and you can download free formulator pass performances for this race on the Race of the Day event page at DRF.com. Access them and handicap along with us. There is a big field in here. Zulu Alpha, the Deserve It 8-5 morning line favorite. As of right now, Mike, he is the leading North American longer distance turf horse.
Yeah, he is. Off a little bit of a layoff here, but boy, he's gotten off to a good start in 2020. This is a big field, Dan. There are a lot of good horses in here. But man, the two favorites are very strong in this race.
I think Timeform US has it just about right on the pace projector. There are 3 horses in this race that like to be forward. The 11, Rise the Guy, likes to show speed. I think the 3-horse stretching out Ramsey Solution, he might eventually be the one to make the running. And I really do believe they're going to be a lot more aggressive this time with Henley's Joy.
I think they will get aggressive with Henley's Joy as well. We'll see if he, needs one in this race as he, starts back off of a little bit of a layoff. I'll agree with you. I think the pace projector is probably pretty close to right.
Michael Maker, of course, trained Zulu Alpha. He also has a big-priced entrant in the 1, Appreciado. This horse was claimed for $16,000. He is now graded stakes placed. He was one of several in this field to contest the Grade 3 Louisville last time out. And, Mike, I just couldn't find an excuse for him. Maybe he was exposed at this level against these kind of horses. He broke well. He settled into the pocket, and he was just one paced in the stretch.
Yeah, he's definitely improved for Maker. We're used to seeing that when he claims these horses, but boy, he's got his work cut out for him against this field.
The number 2 Nakamura won me over a little bit when he took 3 in a row last year, including that race at Saratoga. That non-winner's a 2 other than I thought was very impressive. He did break well. He was last on the inside. He made this sharp middle move in the pocket down on the rail, got to the outside, and he was able to sustain that long run all the way to the wire. Last time out in the Red Smith, I know they were going fast early. I don't know how he ended up 20 lengths off of the lead, and then he must have been 7 wide turning into the stretch. It was not a good trip for this horse. I think there's going to be a fair pace for him in this spot. I think he has some upside, and motion is great off layoffs.
Yeah, I mean, all those things are true. And I do think that there's a real chance he could take a step forward this year and sort of, at least be a part of the finishes in some of these bigger races. I mean, he really did get better last year. This is not, sort of the ideal race off a layoff when you're facing Zulu Alpha, horses like that in a race like this. But this horse is pretty good.
Number 3 in here is Ramsey Solution, and this is a Real Solution gelding. Real Solution won the Manhattan, placed first in the Arlington Million. He could go 1.25 miles. This gelding's going to stretch out for the first time, and he went gate to wire last time out at Churchill, going 1 1/16 miles. He controlled the pace. He finished up nicely, earned a 94 buyer speed figure. He's lightly raced with upside. I'm just not sure he's going to take this star-studded field all the way on the front end.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I mean, I didn't really want him in here trying to wire this field at 1.5 miles, but he probably will be on the lead or close to it. Wesley Ward's off to a very hot start at Keeneland.
Postulation is just a cool 8-year-old. He's banked over $500,000 in his career, and he runs well fresh. He scored off an 8-month layoff last year in the Precious Passion, an easier spot to be sure. He looked really good doing it. He just let another speed horse go, sat under a very confident Paco Lopez, and blew him away in the stretch. He was one of the few horses in that Red Smith, Mike, that was hanging around at the end after being relatively close to the pace. So I think you can give him an extra mark for that. Off the layoff, in against some tough horses, I think Julien Leproux can get him into a decent spot in mid-pack.
Yeah, I can see him getting a good trip in here. I guess I won't be surprised if he gets a piece of this, Dan. I had a tough time making him win this race, even though he's run, several good races in the past. That race 2 back, especially the Sycamore here at Keeneland at this distance, he ran fine in there, but man, I really would prefer to take Nakamura out of that race than this horse.
Here's the big name, Zulu Alpha, winner of the Pegasus World Cup Turf, and boy, did he get a beautiful ride from Tyler Gaffalione that day. Just saved all the ground, shot up the inside at the most opportune time, and was getting away from him in the lane. And then in the McDermott, he swept wide, and he kept on going to beat a nice field. And I think last time out he moved a little bit too soon. Let's watch the closing stages of the Pan Am. He made this 5-wide brush late on the back stretch. He's 3 wide turning into the stretch. He's trying to sustain this long run, and he's just going to get pipped in between horses by Bema's boy. You could argue Zulu Alpha was best in this race.
Yeah, I think he probably was, Dan. I mean, I think at the end of the day, considering how hard he had to work to get by a long shot and Current there in the stretch, I wouldn't argue with anybody who said it wasn't his best performance. But considering the trip, just the fact that he made that early run, he still ran really well in there. Prior to that, he was just on a huge roll. It feels like the time off probably could have done this horse some good. And if he comes back in form, I just expect it to be really tough to beat in here.
Jace's Solitude showed he could get the distance last year when he finished first. He was DQ'd in that Bald Eagle Derby, and he was probably best to the Virginia Derby going 1 1/8. The race was completely pace compromised against a perfect trip winner in English B. Now, he ran in the Louisville last time out, and he was kind of 3-4 wide all the way around the track. He just didn't finish with the same kind of pop as some of these other horses. I think he's the kind of horse that needs to get just the right trip, just the right pace situation. He is a bit underrated, though.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, this is probably a little too tough for him, but, he's still only a 4-year-old. I do feel like there's a chance that he could still improve again. He seems like he's improving from race to race right now. He could still improve again, and the distance is fine for him.
Graham Motion as Nakamura. He also has He's No Lemon, another horse with a bit of upside potential that might be reaching peak maturity as a 4-year-old. Motion put him in a tough spot in the Louisville, his first start of the year, and off of a long layoff. He was down towards the inside, far behind. He ended up 5 wide on the 3rd turn, and he ran a little bit at the end of that race, Mike. I think that was kind of a breakout performance for He's No Lemon, and I think he's got a sleeper's chance at a price.
Did improve in that race, and that was, as you sort of were talking about before, it was off a layoff for Motion. He's very good off of layoffs, and that could really work to this horse's stablemate in this race, to that horse's advantage. But this horse is improving, Dan. I hate his running style where he's just always last early in his races, but he certainly took a step forward last time, and he could do it again here.
Tough spot for Hell or High Water, who's eligible for a non-winners of 2 life, off the board against entry-level allowance horses last time out after swinging very wide into the stretch. It is worth noting that his best race came at 1.5 miles, albeit against maidens.
Yeah, he did run pretty well in that race, but this is a totally different story against these kinds of horses.
Oscar Dominguez was claimed by Richard Baltus for $40,000 in 2019, and he's turned into one of the more reliable longer distance turf horses in Southern California. Let's go back to his most recent effort when he was the beaten favorite in the San Luis Rey Stakes, and he kind of got stuck and jammed up in between horses turning into the stretch. He's the number 4. He's going to eventually dive down to the inside. There wasn't a lot of pace for him to run at, and I thought he ran okay to be 3rd. That being said, he's probably going to have to run a little bit better to upend these.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about trip for him. He's fine. The distance is okay for him. He shows up, he fires just about every single time. We'll just see if he can get the trip he needs, because he is one of those horses who's a little bit pace and trip dependent.
The horse that Zulu Alpha must fear the most on paper is the number 10 Arklow, winner of the Grade 1 Joe Hirsch Turf Classic last year. He ran really well, wide every step to get that done. Extremely game in the lane. I'm not holding the Pegasus World Cup against him. No Lasix. 1 3/16, just a little bit sharp for him. They ran him back in the Louisville. Florent Giroux had him down inside. He had to squeeze through a very tight opening at the 3/16 pole, and I wonder if he would have gotten through sooner, if he would have gotten it done.
Yeah, he might have. All in all, I thought he ran well in that race, Dan. I don't think that that's where Giroux wanted to be, down on the rail in the stretch. He didn't have any choice but to stay down there. It took him a while to get through. And then once he did, I thought he tried very hard in there. He just came up short at the end. All in all, as a starting off point off the layoff, I thought it was a pretty good performance.
Both of Rise the Guy's victories have come at shorter distances, but he's run well going long. Good effort in the Dueling Grounds Derby behind a nice horse in Social Paranoia, going 10.5 furlongs. And then last time out in the Louisville, he prompted the pace, and he was only beaten a length and 3/4. Again, really didn't have much excuse. I didn't think the pace was that fast or that contested. He took his best shot at it, but he's a lightly raced horse who might be getting a little better.
Yeah, I mean, all those things are true. I'm not going to add anything to that. I can't say I'm, this horse's biggest fan, but he certainly, runs some good races, and he could get a good trip in this race.
It took Hierarchy, the 12, 7 times to get through his non-winners of 2 other than condition, and he couldn't have gotten a better trip, ride, or setup in his most recent race. There was a big pace in front of him. Corey Lannery, as is his wont, saved ground just about every step, found a perfect seam in between horses in the stretch, and Hierarchy did the rest. Safe to say he's going to have to run better against these tougher horses.
Yeah, he is. I mean, he's run some okay races going a bit longer, so the 1.5 miles might be within his scope. I just don't know if he's good enough.
And completing the field is a millionaire. Henley's Joyce, 15-1 on the morning line, a Grade 1 winner of the Belmont Derby, but he hasn't won since. In the Pegasus World Cup, I just didn't think he looked very comfortable. They put him up close to the pace. He made an early lead change on the turn. He tired very badly. For a horse that's been known for his consistency, it really wasn't a great effort for him, even at a big price against top horses. Last time out, they made a concerted effort, I thought, to rate him and get to the inside, which seemed to be the preferred path on Muniz Day at the fairgrounds. And he just didn't fire in the stretch despite being down on the better footing. Then again, he was facing horses like Factor This and Instilled Regard, and is now getting back to a more appropriate distance, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see. He was a good 3-year-old. There's no doubt about that. It seemed like he needs the right trip if he's going to get it done. I don't know if I'm sold on him as a 1.5 mile kind of horse, Dan, but we'll see. Did not draw a good post in here.
Top pick time for the Sunday race of the day, the Elkhorn Stakes. I'll tell you that Zulu Alpha right now is the horse to beat. I'm a big fan of Nakamura. I think he has a tremendous amount of upside potential, and I'm hoping that this pace heats up a little bit. I think the 3:11 and 13 will make it at least an honest pace. I'm curious to see what we get off the layoff from Nakamura. I think that Zulu Alpha and Arklow are going to run big.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I mean, your top pick is sort of my other horse to use. I just couldn't go against the 2 favorites in here, Dan. I sort of feel like they stand out in this field, and I do think the layoff could have done Zulu Alpha some good.
Zulu Alpha, the top pick in this race, in my opinion, the top turf horse in the country. 5-10-2-9 for Mike, 2-7-10-5 for me. It's the Sunday race of the day. It's the Elkhorn at Keeneland.